Okay, welcome to Inside the Broken Family. Today I am your host, Abby. Yeah. So today is just a normal podcast day. Does anyone have any thoughts of last week's podcast?
What do we do on this podcast?
Oh yeah. What do we do on this podcast? This is Inside the Broken Family, and we write short stories and poems and then discuss them with each other. Right? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Right.
My brain's right.
That's great.
Any thoughts of last week's podcast?
Last week was with Heather.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote about her horse.
Yeah, Prince.
Her 40-year companion of a horse.
It made me want a horse. Even more. But I don't have a place for it.
Can you imagine a horse in our
In our
apartment?
tiny apartment.
If it was a tiny horse.
Yeah, you could get a pony.
A pony, a little pony.
Yeah.
Still wouldn't work.
2 cats, a dog, and a pony.
That sounds like a story right there.
Sweet. I'm gonna go first since I'm up here. This poem is called Meaningless Conversation. 2 souls connected by mind and body. There is no questioning what they are hiding. Being themselves while others might see it as naughty, their consciousness is constantly colliding. Hours and hours of doing nothing, never wasted. For the conversation never ended. For dessert, their saliva has been tasted. A kind of intimacy that has been recommended. A romance to last a lifetime doesn't come easy, but willingness and acceptance creates opportunity. Others might see the quirkiness as cheesy. Overall, when we are together, there is a cosmic unity. The end.
It was like a smorgasbord of imagery.
And what was the saliva sharing part? That was my ears.
That was dessert.
Peaked.
That was for dessert.
Oh.
For dessert, their saliva has been tasted. I had to find a way to rhyme tasted.
What's the flavor of saliva?
Depends on whose it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's breath smells different.
I think there's actual different chromosomes and hormones in people's saliva that fit with other people's saliva or don't fit with other people's saliva.
It's a crazy idea.
Yeah. Maybe there really are soulmates.
Or saliva mates at least.
Saliva mates.
Or
Isn't that
in the
proven?
bacteria.
Like certain chemistry, the
Yeah,
chemistry
there's
of
certain
different
bacteria
salivas
in the mouth
Yeah.
that
like each
get
other more
along.
than others, and that's why some people when they kiss, they're like, "Oh, just kidding."
that would be like French kissing mates.
Yeah.
Saliva mates.
Stargazing mates with the French.
With the French.
That's an old reference.
That is an old reference.
Old French. Old
Actually,
English.
an old reference to Peyton and Abby.
Yeah.
Did we make out while stargazing?
You don't remember this?
Did we say we were going stargazing and then?
Well, we went stargazing. They just thought we were going to make out outside
Oh,
the
but we
field.
actually went stargazing.
Yeah.
Settle down, guys.
Jeffrey and Sam would say that we were stargazing with the French.
Oh,
I get it.
that's funny.
Oui.
But you guys weren't, it wasn't time for dessert yet, I guess.
I guess not. Depends. How old were we?
What? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, I think like difference. We were doing pecs for like a whole month.
The whole month?
I was very slow. Very cautious.
There was no saliva tasting
Only
in
lips.
the first one.
Were the lips dry or what?
I don't know. I don't
It
remember.
was too quick.
She's blocked those memories out of her head.
Okay, Jeffrey.
I don't know if we were done with our line of questioning.
I think she was done.
You can continue if you want.
Okay. This poem is called Dear Interpreter.
Dear interpreter, please hear what I have to say. Your definitions will lead you astray. Before you close your eyes and pray, using the same words as yesterday, mooching off the sacrament tray, because looking at yourself makes you afraid. Dear interpreter, did you even read the words they wrote? Did you spend your time studying the holy note? Did you catch the part they said don't judge? Or is that phrase just a gentle nudge? You can't even see the mud you smudge as you sit in church eating chocolate fudge. Dear interpreter, are you searching for the love of God? Then stop following that religious fraud. You give yourself no credit, but 10% to the man that said it. Save your money, save your sins. Trust me when I say, not everyone wins. What? The end.
What? What? The
What?
Well, Peyton and I were hunting for bunnies.
Killer!
We never got any.
We saw a squirrel.
We saw it. This is true. Heard a noise or two. It was very quiet.
Yeah, it was very quiet. No, this was
Yesterday.
We had a conversation about this idea of people's desire to control other people or define the world for other people. It's an interesting idea. I wonder why that exists.
Do you actually wonder why it exists?
Yeah, I wonder why.
Do you have any insights into why it might?
If I think back over my own life, I think the desire to control came from deep insecurity and fear.
You had a line towards the very beginning. I can't remember it now. It's like 3 lines in.
Before you close your eyes and pray, using the same words as yesterday.
No, that wasn't it. I don't know if I'll be able to remember it.
I think it's very hard to see the possibility of harm when one believes they have to borrow religious phrasing, the Urim and Thummim to interpret for other people. When people believe they have power to speak and lead and act for others, I think it's really hard to see anything other than the colors you want to see.
It is weird how we all, like, at one point in our lives, I can't say everybody always does this, but at one point, I think everybody has seen exactly what they want to in all moments. And it's incredible that our minds can do that at all. Like, be the interpreter that creates reality instead of letting reality be.
Our minds can create solid holograms.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. Yeah.
That's a strange idea.
You had some funny wordplay around around the 10%. Would you reread that?
Yeah. You give yourself no credit, but 10% to the man that said it.
Yeah, I
I
really
think
like
that goes to what my dad was saying a little bit of these people, of people who got it all figured out, trying to interpret for other people, or saying that they're going to interpret for other people, putting themselves into that, and then other people falling into that and giving their 10%, giving what they earned to somebody trying to interpret for them.
I think it goes beyond religion. the desire to speak truth into someone else's life, like I know how they should live or what they should do, it's really sketchy ground to walk on.
I completely agree. There's so many factors that goes into somebody's life. It's like somebody's life. You don't know their family situation. You don't know their friend's situation. You don't know their school situation. You don't know their mental situation. It's just like there's too many levels to give your input into something like that.
Yeah.
But we still all try for some reason.
The older I get, I tried not to.
I know.
I like the chocolate fudge imagery.
Eating chocolate fudge in church.
Yeah, there's something about sitting in a place of authority and believing that I could imagine stepping into that space. If I believe I'm in a place of authority and I believe I deserve to be there, and that I sort of look down, maybe it's harsh, but shepherd others, there's a certain amount of indulgence, I think, in that space. It's like shoving my face full of chocolate fudge.
Do you think that belief that you can shepherd others comes from within or comes from outward forces?
It's probably a mixture of both. Yeah, probably a mixture of both.
If you're brought up believing that that's what you have to be, is someone who shepherds others, then that's the output coming in, I guess, or the outside coming in.
Is shepherding different than controlling?
Well, I mean, I look at it as, my view of that is, I kind of grew up thinking that I needed to be an example. I needed to set an example so then I could influence people in a positive way.
Also, as a girl, you were, not all told or enforced or shown that you could control the guys into making good choices.
By what you're wearing.
Yeah. Or, control the guys that way. Or be like, oh, you need to get the young men to go on missions.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like with paying, I was like, oh, I'm failing. Because you weren't going to go on a mission for a second. Where'd my power go?
So much pressure, though.
Yeah, I was stressed. But it worked out.
It's amazing the mental gymnastics we put ourselves through as humans sometimes. All to just paint inside someone else's lines.
But you're still pretty religious. Do you have any input?
No, I think that sometimes people say that they're outside the box and they're not putting other people in a certain box when they're doing the same thing from themselves. And I find that interesting.
I think there's nothing wrong with believing in something. And believing there's a God, or believing that Jesus existed, or whatever it is that someone wants to believe. I think I used to think that you had to go somewhere to believe that you had to be in a building to believe that. But I believe very strongly you can have this sense of a belief without being in a building. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Did someone say something that sparked that idea for you?
It's something I've been thinking about.
I see.
I don't think all people that are religious in any religious institution are constantly looking at ways to control others by how they live or what they believe in. I don't believe that that's a cross the board blanket statement for human beings.
But they do. They sit
No.
in a high building and they tell you
I'm not
to
talking.
pay tithing or to pay.
I'm not talking
this or to
about.
do-
I'm not talking about.
in
I'm talking
in
about
a building
overall.
or in an organization of a religious institution,
I'm
they
not talking about
tell their congregation of
I'm
what
not
to
talking
do.
about.
I'm talking Catholic.
I'm not talking
Mormon,
about the. I'm
Lutheran.
not talking about the high ups in any religious institution. I'm talking about the general population base of faith believing people. I don't think it's their intention or their goal to control what others think or how others live.
Yeah.
Except when you
Like
don't-
the majority of normal people, the majority of people just like us.
Just
Or just
trying,
trying to live and survive.
a good
It's
life.
because the majority of people are sheep,
Does
me
that
included.
Does that not mean though? Because like people who are still just normal, just like us, we're still doing something. We're still acting out something.
Right.
And so, what if that phrasing or those words or those things that they've been taught comes off as controlling to the majority of the world?
I mean, another maybe a practical way of saying that is someone like Nelson says to the whole church, "Don't use Google."
Yeah.
And then down the line of authority, you have a bishop tell someone that has questions in their ward, only listen to church approved things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The bishop thinks he's doing what is best for that member of his congregation.
Yeah.
But from an outsider, that might look like a very controlling statement.
Yeah, let's use like Trump as an example too, like politics. Like Trump might declare that there's only two genders,
Which he has.
and he has. How does that affect the normal person and how they behave towards other people? I don't know. It's just interesting to think about.
I mean,
Because I think you're right, Dan. I
there is
don't think
girls
most
and
people walk
boys,
around with that
so
intention.
I don't know if that should affect anyone.
I think Peyton's saying, does that possibly give the green light to someone that maybe is a little less aware of themselves to treat another human poorly?
Because
And it's something to think about.
yeah, like because they're transgender or
Yeah, but even though you're transgender, you're still a girl or a boy.
But yeah,
You
that's
still have a penis. You still have.
yeah.
A vulva. Well, you're gonna have to go the other way too.
You do have to have balance. if
Two
we're
Trump's points.
I'm just saying. And if they need to change their identity because they want to be someone else, then go take it to the courts. But
Yeah.
don't make us have to be not aware of.
But
not sure what's
that
happening.
statement that you just said can come off to certain people as very controlling, as very, very
Well,
negative. But it's not your
maybe.
intention. It's not your intention.
Yeah,
at
someone
all.
might hear that and think
I don't.
she is just a right-winged sheep that can't think for herself.
Yeah.
No, I just know that I had girls and boys. So, and if you want to be something different, that's for
Yeah.
you to choose.
Yeah,
It's not for me to
100%.
say you can't.
Isn't
That's
that
beside
thinking for,
what Peyton's
isn't that thinking for yourself when you say it's kind of obvious? There's just a man and a woman, isn't
And,
it? I
and
mean,
what
isn't
people
that-
choose after
isn't
that is up to them.
Isn't that just common sense thinking for yourself?
Do you? I understand that there's these words, man and woman, but what is a man?
A man.
Jeffrey, that's a very good question. That may be very hard to answer.
It's very
I think
complex.
if you can't
Very
answer
complex.
that, then maybe you shouldn't use that word.
What word should we use?
right interpreter.
What word should we use?
A
I
man
guess we're
has
just
a
left
penis.
with woman.
and
Okay, but you already said that. I mean, I don't know if I think
This is a very adult episode.
I think that there will be a lot of people out there that will be educated
and
by your
offended.
words. No, They'll be educated. Because maybe they've never heard that word.
Well, okay. Maybe they're a woman.
What?
Who next?
Oh.
Wow.
Popcorn.
Oh,
Dad, let's do this thing.
We can take those words out if you'd like.
No, we can't.
Why do you?
This is an unedited podcast.
Why do you feel
It
like
is written.
those words should be taken out?
Because I don't know.
Mach 2.
I think it's good to not have shame around those words.
I agree.
Or ideas. Words or ideas.
Yeah, a shame around words or ideas, right. Yeah, I think that's
And the thing
done
is-
enough damage in our family.
And it's okay to have ideas, even if they're different and even if people don't agree.
You sure?
He's just asking if you're sure. He's not attacking you, Mom.
Are you
Just say yes or no.
Because that's a big statement. Are you sure?
That is, yes.
Okay, great. All right. This is a story that's been in my head for quite some time. I finally put it out on paper.
Another Daryl.
That's funny. Because the character's name is Gerald. This is titled Gerald the Goose. Gerald is a high-flying, free goose soaring at the head of his scheme. Gerald loves flying at the point of the wedge, utilizing his strong body to provide energy-saving aerodynamics for his team. The excitement flows through his body as the air splits around his majestic wings. Gerald is known for his loop-de-loops and his upsies, downsies, and his twisty-twos when his excitement needs to burst out of his feathery body. As the group dropped into the mouth of a canyon to break at a small patch of green next to a cool mountain river, Gerald could not help but bust into one of his famous upsies, downsies. The problem in this moment, Gerald, blinded by his exuberance, did not notice the big truck with extended side mirrors. Gerald's world is spinning with pain and color just before he slides to a stop in the snow-tipped grass next to the river. Gerald's awareness spreads to several things at once. Gerald hears his gaggle begin to land all around him. Gerald moves one wing and realizes the other can only hang limply at his side. The doom of this moment, solidified by splashes and human screams rising from the cold river like evaporating water vapors. The devastating realizations ringing in Gerald as the ghostly moans slide from the frozen watery graveyard, each frozen gasp reinforcing Gerald's new reality. Gerald would never twisty-two again. Gerald would never be the point of his skein again. Gerald would never fly again. Gerald knows he would be broken. He is broken for the rest of his time. As if being called forth by the truth of Gerald's thoughts, the humans begin to rise from the riverbank, like some burnt, loin-clad zombies, steam pumping from their skin. The humans begin running, barefoot, through the snow, and directly into Gerald's gaggle. Time slowed down for Gerald. The red men running and screaming, his family squawking and beating their wings. Gerald's connections to the voice of Mother Nature had never been as crystal clear as this moment. Gerald knew what needed to be done. Gerald gave his last powerful command to his gaggle. "Fly," he squawked, setting them free to leave him behind. Gerald waddled as fast as he could up the side of the mountain, his good wing extended for balance. He turned back to the steaming red people and settled into the sage. Gerald knows his moments are few now. Mother Nature had said so. One thing had shifted in these chaotic moments when Gerald had the first realization that he could no longer fly and would be left by his family as they continued their journey south. The loneliness was almost crushing. In this moment, watching the wedge of his family become swallowed by the late fall sky, the assurance that they are held by Mother Nature like he is, filled his feathers with calm. Watching the strange humans jump and hit themselves and push off the earth and scream and touch fists gave Gerald another knowing. He is not the only creature broken and held by Mother Nature. Gerald could sense the stalking mountain lion behind him. Mother Nature whispered to him that the lion would bring him back to her arms. As the lion's powerful jaws wrapped around the goose's neck, Gerald took his last breath with a smile in his eyes and broken, frozen screams in his ears.
I really like that, Jeff. That was, I know you said that was a story you've been thinking about, but that was a true story.
I was thinking that was very sad for Gerald.
No, that was it. Well, I don't know about Gerald, dying by the mouth of a lion,
Yeah.
but everything else
Sad.
was
Way to
true.
go.
Yep.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
And I remember that goose with its broken wing and the gaggle of geese that we were chasing around the grass. And I loved how you wrote that. That was really, really fun.
Did this happen at the thing?
Yeah. That was a cold
At
plunge.
our cold plunge.
That was a cold plunge. That was really fun. I enjoyed every bit of that.
Fun that poor Gerald.
I wasn't worried about Gerald. Gerald was fine.
Mother
He
Nature.
wasn't. He went to
Mother
nothing.
Nature's taking care of him.
Yeah.
You talked about Mother Nature having a voice.
Yeah.
Do you believe that animals are connected through this unseen thing that exists?
I do believe that animals are connected to borrow the alchemist phrasing, the voice of the world. Yeah.
Language of the universe.
I think there's a lot of people who have very special connections to the animals. That they really have helped them and guide, are their
Chris
friends
and Jeremy,
when they feel
right?
very lonely. People that don't get to have children, they fill a void, those animals.
I had a vision of, I can see it, like red men running after them. Because that happens almost, every
Every
time
week.
that that the geese are all there and then they freak out because you guys take off running and trying to warm up.
Does anyone
Why don't you
worry?
describe that picture?
Does anyone worry about stepping on the grass-covered
Oh,
goose
do-do.
droppings?
I actually do.
You do. You worry about it.
That's something I worry about. But I actively avoid them.
You avoid them. But sometimes it's hard. If there's 100 geese that have been on that grass, it's hard to avoid the poop.
I always
really
wondered why
gross.
Peyton ran with high knees.
Now you understand?
Now I understand.
I don't avoid the goose poop.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe it adds some type of...
Warmth, squishiness between your toes.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe-
It's a cure to the numbness.
Maybe it will heal toe fungus.
Has it worked yet?
He hasn't stepped on it. He doesn't take his shoes off.
All good points.
That whole year that we've cold plunged, or this past year that we've cold plunged, you writing that story was a lot of fun for me personally in our experiences week in and week out of jumping in the freezing water and then running and the geese, and it's been really fun.
All I kept thinking about was poor Gerald that was
Well,
froze
Gerald,
in the water.
And he had a lame
I
wing
know.
that
I
just
didn't
kind of.
get any of that
hung
fun
there.
out of that.
You
So
weren't
that
there.
was cool.
You weren't there that day.
I understand. I'm just saying that was cool that we can listen to a story and you hear something totally
yeah, based purely on experience. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like you've only experienced certain things, and that's all you can relate to the story. And Dad's experienced other things, and
I could relate to every sentence of your story. Yeah. That was
I think also perspective, right? Mom tends to focus on the negative, sad aspect of life ending, where other people might have a different perspective of that it's a circle and it's this eternal thing that goes on and on.
I was laughing at you, Jeff.
No, you can laugh at me. It's okay.
I mean, that's a good thing. I hope there is a eternal circle that goes.
Circle of life.
I'm going to fly with the geese.
That would be cool.
Maybe you'll get the perspective of Gerald someday.
Not with the broken wing. I want to be able to fly.
Gerald had lots of flights.
Till he broke his wing. And then was eaten by a mountain
I
lion.
know.
Circle of life.
I kept thinking of being left when the zombie apocalypse happens and I'll be the one eaten by the zombie.
You could relate to
Yeah, I
Gerald.
can relate to Gerald being left by his family.
The slowest one.
I really did think about that.
Really? That's hilarious. Your brain thought of zombie apocalypse?
Well, I thought of being left by my family because I'm slow and broken.
That was such a sad sentence.
You know, your next tattoo should be a broken winged goose.
My next tattoo, do I have one?
Yeah. She's covered in tattoos. I didn't know, but obviously you know.
Like,
Comment what her next tattoo is going to be.
I'm like, do I have a tattoo?
But Gerald, also in the story, he appreciated his life and what he'd been able to do, and he accepted where he was at.
Because he got to be twirly and tipsy's lose.
He was the head of his V.
I know, but then he had to be left while everybody flew off, and he laid there with his broken wing.
But
until
he
the-
understood what was going on.
Also, seeing humans helped him understand that brokenness is more of a reality than...
Anomaly.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Way to go, Gerald.
Who am I picking? Dad, you're up.
Are you cold, son?
Well, he does have socks
He's a...
and a blanket around him.
He has muckalucks.
You're right. Wait, was it muckalucks or
No.
mucklux?
It's muckalucks, I've been told,
Muckalucks.
but
I've
my
been
father
told.
called them muckalucks.
He just
I've been told
added
by
an A.
Google.
No,
He just added an
no.
A in the word.
I think was the last time or the time before?
Yeah, when I said they're muckalucks, and you guys laughed at me, and then you looked it up, and it was a muckaluck.
I had faith in you.
I throw out those words, they come, and they're like way back in my brain, and then they go, whoop. I don't normally see him cold. This is why I'm very confused. I can pop on the heat.
Please don't.
Well, I think one of the favorite times of the year for almost everybody on the planet is coming up next week. In mid-Lovuary.
Yeah, but it's not the favorite time of year for people. Some are very sad.
I'm trying not to be too sarcastic
What? Oh.
in what I just said.
What?
So confusing.
I know it is confusing, isn't it?
That was thoroughly confusing.
All right. Well, this is a story that I have been thinking about this week, based on past Valentine Day's experiences. Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe. Mostly true. Some not. All right. Today is going to be different.
That was like Smeagol.
That doesn't sound very different. My precious.
We're just gonna have the camera slowly zoom in right before she coughs. So there's like this big buildup.
All right. Well, I better back up. Because I forgot to give you the title.
Okay.
Oh boy.
And the title of this is Cupid's Faux Pas. Today,
Are you really on the bad side? Or?
I don't think that Mom wants me to share this story with you.
Just a subtle hint.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Okay. Okay. Today is going to be different, I thought to myself as the alarm clock beeped incessantly. I rolled towards her and, squeezing her arm gently, started to say, "Happy." "That's so loud, turn it off," she groggily croaked, breathing romantic dragoness breath back in my face. "No kiss this Valentine's morning, maybe later," I smiled to myself and jumped out of bed, ready for this lovely mid-Levuary Red Banner Cupid's Love Fest day. Throwing my work clothes on, I stopped at the foot of our California King rubber tree mattressed bed. Grabbing her foot under the warm blanket, I squoze. A tender squeeze. "I've got the most beautiful Valentine's sweetheart," I thought, as I admired her raven's black silkiness falling gently across slumbering eyes and slightly vibrating lips. As a lightly rhythmic snore seemed to answer my heart-struck hopefulness. "I love you," I whispered softly. "Woof!" Mary answered dumbly back.
What? Say that one more time.
"Woof!" Mary answered dumbly back.
Oh, Mary, I thought.
She's just like a muppet. She's just on drugs all the time. Convinced of it.
I turned, sighed a wistful sigh, and headed out for this fancifully anticipated day of love. It had been one of those crazy, busy, out of control, up and down, back and forth, lose track of time and my mind work days. 3 roofing bids, up and down ladders so many times that I started to lose track which way was up and which way was down. That's not a good place to find oneself in this business. Measuring, calculating, closing, smiling, from Folsom to Rockland to South Sacramento, back and forth, to the office, phone calls, bids, organizing, checking inventory, scheduling, out to lunch with Greg and Keith, 2 trips to Home Depot, 2 trips delivering materials to Bob on one of our current re-roofs in Elk Grove. Busy, I'll say. But during my day, I kept noticing some really odd things happening. Mrs. Podesky had hung a red, pink, and white heart blocking the doorbell. "Huh, that's odd," I thought, shrugged, and just knocked instead. During our lunch together at Carl's Jr., the French fry container had a little red cupid shooting an arrow stuck to it, but the fries still tasted the same. And even though the Western bacon cheeseburger was wrapped in metallic red tinfoil, the famous barbecue sauce was just as tangy as always. It seemed that every light I stopped at was shining bright red, even the ones in Roseville with their red rose-covered signs adding to the odd redness of my rapidly passing day. As I stood in line at Home Depot with my bucket of Henry's roofing seal and 2 2-inch pipe jacks and 2 2-inch rubber gaskets, I couldn't help but notice, and I didn't understand, why the contractor in front of me was holding a hanging red geranium and the contractor behind me holding a petite red rose plant in a classic budding pink rose ceramic vase. "That's odd," I mused, as the 2 men competitively glared back and forth past me, comparing their red Home Depot garden center flowers. And as I was getting ready to get off that last roof, Bob handed me a red and white can of cold Dr. Pepper and a box of red bean cherries from his fruit stand. "Thanks, Bob. 2 of my all-time favorites," I said. "See you tomorrow," he answered, without looking up as 5 golden roofing nails pop, 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 popped, seemingly simultaneously, securing an asphalt shingle to the roof decking. I carefully, and for my 14th and hopefully last descent from this ladder for today, wiped my brow with the sleeve of my IRT work shirt, and stepping down, rung by rung, descended the ladder. As my foot hit the ground, all the odd redness of my workday hit my mind. Oh crap! I grabbed the 2 black 3mm thick contractor bags full of Bob's roofing cuts and tossing them in the back of my Chevy pickup, headed up 99 North and 50 East, up Sunrise Boulevard, passing my office, to hopefully make it to Joy's flower shop in Citrus Heights before closing at 6. I had ordered a dozen red roses last week, and in the chaotic busyness of today, had nearly forgotten to pick them up. 5:55, it read on the truck's console as I pulled up to Joy's flower shop, ran to the door, threw it open, and ran right smack dab into the back of a man standing in line, apparently all of them late in thinking about and in doing Valentine's Appreciation Day. Sorry, I said lamely as the guy in front of me glared miserably back towards me. Boy, for it being such a lover's day, no one, including myself, seems to be in a very happy, loving mood. I cracked a self-reflecting smile and waited impatiently behind the 5 solemnly standing guys in front of me. "What's your order?" the girl behind the counter tiredly asked. Yes, I ordered a dozen red roses. What's the name?" She didn't even look up. Jeff Allen." I stood there dumbly as she left to get the order, as I could feel the same anxious pressure coming from the last 2 guys behind me. "We don't have an order under that name," she stated matter-of-factly. "What? I ordered those a week ago," my voice rising slightly. "Sorry, if you want, pick something from over there in the corner," she pointed. I walked over and, shaking my head, looked at nearly barren shelves with a few discarded rose leaves scattered over the shelves and a couple of scraggly wilted green ferns in plastic planters left lonely upon the metal shelving. I grabbed one and walked silently out of the door. It was late, not what I had planned. Driving the hour back home, I stared blankly at the wilted little fern. My stomach growled. I wasn't thinking clearly. In fact, I wasn't thinking at all. She's not going to be happy. I frowned to myself as I pulled up to the Taco Bell window. "A cheesy beef burrito, a Mexican pizza, and a Dr. Pepper. That'll be $5.45. Oh, and give me a handful of mild sauce." It was 8:35 as I opened the door, around which glittered colored red, pink, and white hearts the kids had taped to it, and strolled into the kitchen. The house was quiet. Kids were asleep other than a cough coming from the girls' room. She was standing next to the table in a cute green spaghetti strap negligee. Sexy. She looked exhausted and not a happy Valentine. "Here," I offered. "Happy Valentine's." "It's late. What happened?" she said tersely. "Just one of those days," I answered unapologetically. "I'm tired," I blurted selfishly. She stared at me, emotionless. "Sit down. Dinner's done and it's cold," she stated frigidly. "I understand," I thought to myself silently as I slowly sat down in front of my plate and then stupidly and without any thought, quietly offered, "I'm not very hungry." 2 things happened simultaneously in that happy Valentine's preconceived moment in time. A sick, not feeling good toddler's cry met my ears, and a cold plate of spaghetti met my inconsiderate, ignorant lap. Happy Valentine's, sweetheart. But at least I'll have 364 more days to love you better before next Valentine's Day shoots its Cupid's arrow.
The rubber tree mattress you guys had, that was a heavy mattress.
Oh man, is it possible to move?
So,
Is that a rubber tree?
It was
Yeah.
a rubber tree mattress.
It was so heavy and so big. Like it was a king size.
It was extra
And
long.
it was old.
Old. By the time, it was 20 years old by the time I think we got rid of it. But you called me Mary, but everybody else's name.
Mary, the
Mary's
dog.
the dog.
Mary was our dog.
The underbite dog, Mary.
Oh, I thought you called me
No.
Mary.
No. Mary was the only one that answered him.
Yes. Yeah, did you listen to my morning?
Your lips vibrated with snores.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
not what came to our mind.
that was what was funny about
Not appreciated. I was closing my eyes, imagining all of your imagery, and that one popped in my brain.
Just some lips
Yeah, but
vibrating.
The funny thing
No,
about
not some lips.
the funny thing about that is he was the one that always snored. He was the one that I would have said that to about not kissing.
Well, most of this story is factual. And
Some
you have, maybe not then, but
I
you
didn't snore
have,
then.
you
for
have,
sure.
you have snored in our lifetime recently. And so that was just part of it. That was just part of the imagery of our morning experiences sometimes
The
together.
true experience of the spaghetti was when Jeff was probably 3 and Alicia would have been like 6 months or something. And I was so excited for him to come home. I made a bed in the living room. I was wearing this, Grammy had bought me negligees when we got married. And so it was like just a really pretty, like, one that went.
1980s negligee.
No, it was just a spaghetti
It was kind
strap.
of silky.
And it had a little robe. I have a
green.
picture of me with the robe on me. But anyways, had a little silky robe, that I wore. And I was so excited because I got the kids to bed early. And this was not actually on Valentine's Day, but
this is my
Right.
story.
but then I was so excited. It was probably like 7:30 and I was so excited. Everybody was in bed. I had made this nice dinner and made this romantic scene. And he comes home and when he sits down, he says, "Oh, I already ate." And I literally took the plate of food and I think I just threw it at you.
In my lap.
So that part was true.
I really appreciate your story. I think there's something to consider there in terms of, I think, I'll talk just for men because you were the protagonist in your story. I think there are lots of men who want families and who work very hard and who do that day in, day out because they love their partner and their families. And so I liked how you wrote it and emphasizing that part because it shows what your life was like and it shows the meat of what I think is a loving relationship in this one day of year that happens that people put so much stock into. That's really just shallow. It's fluff. So I like that contrast that you wrote.
And that is actually one of the reasons why we started the family Valentine's dinner was because we never had quite a lot of success with Valentine's Day. So we decided that we can have plenty of success outside of Valentine's.
The rest of the year.
Yeah.
Day in and day out.
And that we would change the thought of Valentine's and make it more of a family thing. Because there was a lot of pressure with, I think trying to make it special so many
And
times
we
it
talked
failed.
about this week. Looking back, I don't know if we even can remember a memorable Valentine's.
Yeah. Burning dinner. I
And
I
that's
cooked dinner
that's
before,
okay.
did stuff.
That's so okay.
And then you had to get a babysitter if you wanted to go out.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just there's a lot of pressure with Valentine's Day. It's fun. I mean, I think when I was young, I don't know how you girls felt, but like, I always was, the thought of getting a heart box of chocolate and flour, like that seemed like the ideal gift you would get, right? And it was always sad that you were like 15 and 16 and you didn't get that.
Capitalism destroys
I know.
Yeah.
every holiday.
I know. It's so bad.
Like in high school, and you're sitting in class, and then they
Everybody
bring
gets
out
flowers.
the roses like that people bought for certain people, and then
You don't get
you
one.
never get one.
Yeah.
It's really,
Oh, that is a
Sad.
That's a sad thing, yeah.
I mean, you just feel left out, and
Not special.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where that hope of like you get stuff
Mm-hmm.
comes from is
Yeah.
like you don't want to be left out. You want to feel special and you want to feel noticed.
One of the years that Peyton the first year that Peyton got me rose, another boy got me rose too,
Oh.
and he gave it to me first, and I had to hide it from Peyton because I was so embarrassed. I was like, Peyton, this doesn't mean.
I don't think I cared at all.
No, you were.
It's like, I don't
No,
think I
I
cared
think
at
you
all.
did.
No, I don't think I
I'm
cared.
sure you did, Peyton. You
I think
really
you
liked
did.
it.
No,
But
it was a
It
friend of,
was-
it was a kid I knew.
Oh.
Well, he had
I was
asked.
just like, that's
He was
fine.
taking me to a dance because you were out of town.
Yeah.
And then he got me rose, and I was like, "This is."
I think you cared a lot more than
Well,
I did.
it was like the biggest deal ever.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So that was funny.
I liked how you put the story together, though.
The Joy's Flower Shop,
Was
That-
that at a flower shop?
that really did happen to us on a Valentine's,
I did.
where I had ordered flowers and I went to pick them up and they hadn't got my order
No, they were supposed to deliver them.
for that,
Yeah.
and I ended up bringing some
Just some little,
something.
the deadest
Whatever.
plant.
Well, there
it really
wasn't-
was dead.
There wasn't much
The
left.
shelves were picked over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there wasn't much left.
In fact, he called me or something happened that I worked at a sewing factory. This was a tough job at a sewing factory in Provo. And then I think you'd picked me up and then you had to go back to school or something. And you asked me if something had come and nothing had come. And so you went to go find out and they had forgotten the order. Somehow they missed it. And so you literally went to a store and there was literally nothing. And he brought this little dead plant.
And,
It was like,
and I don't know how many times I've noticed on Valentine's, guys, men, going in and out of Home Depot, Lowe's,
Trying to find
Smith's,
something to get.
Lee's, just in the last moment,
Yeah, but
trying to
it's-
grab something to bring home to their wife or
It's-
their partner.
It's sad that love gets delegated to one day. It really is.
That's why we decided it was much more fun not to put the pressure on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I really liked the end of your story.
That's what it was all about.
yeah.
You know,
The every other day.
Yeah.
It's good.
you've got 364 more days to better your love relationship.
Yeah, and I think when we took away the pressure of Valentine's and just made it the dinner and had fun with the family,
We've loved
we
it.
like that.
Yeah.
I think we've done it now for about 10 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Yours was good. I don't have anything about love.
Do you have anything about dying geese?
No. No
Okay.
dying
You
geese
should reset
either.
You said me love with dying geese. You just walk away.
Or interpreter. Or
I can't remember.
Or tasting
Or
saliva.
That's just different ways of making love.
Whoa.
that's getting
That's an
clipped.
intro.
That's getting clipped.
She sat down and said that so quick.
Yeah,
I can
that-
imagine editing.
Oh, that's great. That's getting clipped. We're gonna start so many videos. Any video that has you at the beginning of it, we'll just start with that.
Clip it, and then we can post on Valentine's Day.
yeah.
Okay, first little short we'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh, golly.
That's a good idea.
I don't know. I just had been thinking about a topic for a while, and then it just kind of came out with lots of thoughts. So, anyways, I hope it sort of makes some sense in this accumulations of thoughts. How do we stay in the moment? We must release the past and just let the moments happen and not worry about what's to come. What are the moments of our life? Is it when the first snow falls and you're first to put your footprints in the snow? When you walk outside after rain to a freshness in the air that you can't quite explain? When you hear the baby giggle for the first time someone special tells you they're in love with you, your child's first steps or the first smile, watching the sun go down, standing in the sand and letting the ocean roll over your toes, a soft blanket just pulled from the dryer that is still warm. Someone cooks you dinner, your husband cleans the dishes, you get a hug, you watch the sun come up, you lay in the grass. Someone you haven't talked to for a long time calls you, you get out of bed, you write a story, you come up with a new business idea, eating cookie dough, having a fresh, hot donut, holding hands, sucking on a lollipop till you get in the middle, sitting with your family, having a good conversation with a friend, Christmas, having our body keep moving even when we're hurting, being grateful to wake up every day. How often are we stuck on the big things that will make us happy? When I get married, when we own a home, when I have children, or have the perfect job. We also get weighed down in the little things that are everyday events, cleaning, laundry, making meals, changing diapers. What can we do to make our days or our attitude a little bit better so we can be present today? I found this quote I really like. There was no author. Great things are done by a series of small things that are brought together. Be faithful in the small things because it is in them that your strength lives or lies. Strength lies. Some things sometimes mean a whole lot. Small things sometimes mean a whole lot. While it may seem small, the ripple effects of the small things are extraordinary.
I've got one question.
Yeah.
So your business idea was eating cookie dough. And if so, how does that business plan look?
I just came up with a new business idea. And then I just said eating cookie dough. But it just was a lot of thoughts together of what makes up moments in the life.
I love the pictures that you painted for you of these small events and things that mean so much. You know, having the water run over your toes in the sand and, licking a lollipop and Christmas and all those things that you wrote in there. I thought that was really beautiful imagery of small things that mean big things in our lives.
I think in life we miss so many of those moments because we're standing there with the water hitting our toes, but the kids are falling in the water and somebody's eating sand and they're throwing it up in the air and now one's screaming because it's in their eyes. And so you missed that whole moment of just standing there, letting it just hit over your toes and thinking for just a moment and looking out at the vast moment and just enjoying the family, right? Instead you're screaming, "Sand's in Sarah's eyes," and whatever it is you're you somehow missed.
So that quote that you read at the last, maybe that kind of summed up what you were trying to express in finding moments in our lives every day to recognize and appreciate the small things.
Yeah, I think for us this Christmas we tried to enjoy, just being more present in the moments. I felt like it was more still, even though there was a lot going on, but I felt like we were just sort of breathing and watching everybody do their normal thing of opening the presents, but it seemed, even like with the games, everything seemed just be enjoying that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching those little girls listen to you read the book or watching, and then Lucy singing and Ellie just all dance. And she just danced the sweetest, And I think so many times, like when I think back to the year before when Jeremy's singing this beautiful song, which I love, it was that one about the table. And the dog was barking and everything was going on. And instead of concentrating on just enjoying his singing and putting out all the noise, I was so worried about the noise. And I didn't get to enjoy just him singing because I could have. But instead I chose, oh my gosh, now somebody's walking. And so,
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of you sitting and thinking about all of these little moments throughout your life. The idea that we all reminisce on our little lives that we have it's just like really a beautiful thought that we all can think back and look at something.
Yeah, it is. We all have a story.
Yeah.
And it's all very, very different from our perspective and our experience.
And that's what I think is so cool about this podcast. We're all actively writing down our stories.
Yeah, and it's not that I necessarily went back and thought, oh, this is what I necessarily remember. I just was thinking about things that are kind of cool in a moment. What you might enjoy. And for me, that soft blanket, I love a soft blanket. And so just to pull that hot out of the dryer and wrap yourself in it is just a lovely thing.
A lovely moment.
Yeah, not that it really means anything in this space and time, but it's just something that is a nice thing for a moment, And I think so many times we take our mind and we go, and especially women, will go in 40 different directions. Maybe men do this too, but it's because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to wash the clothes so the kids have something to wear. Or, okay, I just did lunch. Shoot, I got to clean up from that. Now I didn't need to do dinner. And oh my gosh, wait, I got to go take somebody to a practice. And then, there's like 40 different things that you do when you're taking care of a house, just like a man with if he's out and the lady happens to be home. But sometimes you forget to just enjoy the moment because you're thinking 20 different directions. And I think that's why life goes so quick. Mm-hmm. Because we're thinking, oh, if I could just, if they're just walking, it'll make it easier. Or when they're potty trained, when they're, and then all of a sudden they're 5 going to kindergarten. And you're like, okay, where'd that time go? And then you think, oh my gosh, my little family's never going to get big. We're not going to be, it's just always going to be difficult. And then all of a sudden, one graduates, gets married. Then the next one comes after that. And all of a sudden, that little family is now getting bigger with different things or people leaving. And it's just you look back on 40 years and you're like, I don't know where that time has gone. So I hope to be able to appreciate more of the small things.
That's cool.
You said in the beginning, you had a line about letting go of the past.
Oh, yeah.
How does letting go of the past feel?
Well, for me, I spent a lot of time in my life what I said is, how do we stay in the moment? We must release the past, because I think for so much of my time, I spent in the past of feeling like somehow I need to be vindicated of what happened to my family, or how we were treated, or what happened, whatever. And I spent so much time in that I missed so many things, worrying if somebody was coming from Dad's family, or if somebody was, you spend weeks on that. And it's like, why? Yeah, what a burden. I put myself through many burdens and victimhoods because of that.
Yeah.
That didn't need to be stuck there.
Yeah.
It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel that. But when you get stuck in it, it only hurts you. That's the honest truth. And I hope to become better and better and better. I hope to improve all the way until I don't get to improve anymore in this earth.
So was that feeling of letting go of the past, was it a hurting? Did it hurt you as you let go of the past, or as you let go of the past? Or
No, I mean, years ago when I purposely was trying to let go of the past, it was healing. I mean, I tried. I wrote letters. I burnt them. I buried them, whatever I could do. Took those rocks out of my backpack. Tried. I still carried many in my backpack. Still carried, many aches. And, all I can say, it's best to start throwing those rocks out. And writing, if you can write to someone that's hurt you, even if you don't send it, if you just bury it or burn it, let it go up to the sky, whatever. I think it's super healing to try to do that. Or read it to someone else. Read it to someone. Read it to your friend or someone so that someone hears you. Because sometimes maybe that's all we need, is to just be heard.
Yeah.
It's my lecture for the day.
Who's next?
Honorary pain?
Oh, okay. Take. I have to use the restroom.
okay, go for it. Do you want us to wait for you, or?
Well, I like to hear it.
Yeah, that's.
If you're okay, I'll hurry. It's not a long adventure.
I'll go with that.
Me neither. That's okay.
Telepathically.
Telepathic.
Yeah.
Indeed.
My ability to read lips is incredible.
That's good. That's quite a talent.
It is.
You would have to, because people probably, when upset, would talk quieter. Maybe.
And just slap them and speak up.
Talk to me as your therapist.
Snap at him.
I don't think you would get very many people to come back.
If I said snap out of it, slap them, and then say stop it.
Stop it or I'll bury
Stop
you in
it
a
or I'll
box.
bury you in a box.
It's a whole different approach to therapy.
Might cause more therapy.
Yeah. More trauma.
I did have one client that said they had a therapist literally fall asleep in session
So funny.
That's gotta
while
hurt.
they were talking about their story. And this isn't a person that has a light story.
Wait, so it's like,
Like-
interesting.
No, when you think of the word trauma,
It's like everything. being
like
life.
that is the definition.
Dang.
So to think of someone falling asleep during that is
You're like,
kind of crazy.
okay, I'm just gonna go.
Falling asleep during what?
During
Therapist
someone's-
falling asleep during therapy.
And they have severe trauma, and the therapist falls asleep.
That's like
You're going to somebody, you're paying somebody to listen to you, and they won't even listen to you?
Well, no, that
my
would be
God.
sad because
That's the end.
if
That's the
your
end.
story,
That's the end.
no, and
That's
if
a
you,
dark humor.
and
Have my side.
can you imagine though? First of all, if you're going to a therapist, most of the time there's trauma. And if you're telling somebody something that's hurt you so bad and they literally sit there and they fall asleep,
Hey, therapists are people too.
well, they screwed up on that one. They better find a way to wake up.
Lifeguards fall asleep too, so.
Yeah, that's not good either.
It's also not a
Really
great scenario.
That would be a tough one. You almost have to get something to suck on or do something to keep yourself awake or apologize profusely to the person.
I think at that point you just let them go.
Clearly,
Give them a refund.
clearly,
Yeah.
Write a letter.
that relationship didn't work out. So
Oh, that's sad.
Okay, I have 3 things. I don't know which one I'm going to read. I'll let you guys pick based on the title. Okay. So I have The Law of Language, Anxious Traveler, or Declaration to the Void.
Law of language.
Anxious traveler.
Anxious traveler.
love language.
Ooh.
I didn't know what you said.
language.
Ooh, come on, tie it
If
up.
I tie it up, then you have to pick.
That's good. Well, it gives me one of my choices.
Okay.
Maybe you should pick the one that hasn't been picked.
The void one.
Which one do you feel like 2 got picked? What would you pick?
I'll go off what Jeff says.
All right.
Okay. The Void.
Oh, anxious traveler.
Okay. This is Declaration to the Void. You are acting out something. You just have to figure out what. Peek inside the room you sat, locked yourself in. Drag your hands down its silky walls. Leave no paper to cover your eyes. Take over those worlds that lay behind. Be the kings to lay golden wheat fields. Watch stocks bend and sway. Be the gods to reach into hell, extending to the lost and afraid. Be the boy who followed his dreams, laughing on his final day. Walk up your endless staircase, throwing stones at your endless base. Keep looking up while you wonder, how far until I stop? Take your hands out of the future. Let the strings move as they will. Let your heart beat for the movements. Let your lungs turn blue into red. Be the people of creation, the champions of today. Be the endless crowd, championing us who have stayed. Be the people in the moment, choosing their own way.
It's kind of like my being in the moment.
Yeah.
You said a part in there about a boy and his last day.
Laughing in his last days.
Yeah,
Be the boy who followed his dreams, laughing on his final day.
right. I watched. This is kind of creepy, I guess. But I watched a show about somebody being murdered, and the police officers were saying how much it bothered him watching the film, knowing that it is this person's last moment, because they had lots of video showing him he was getting into a car and what happened in that last 10 minutes of his life. And it just reminded me of that. Like, none of us know, right, when our last moments are, but that's like, you're just going about, could be having a wonderful day.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a Instagram reel, got bombarded.
No.
It was a amusement park ride. It was spinning really fast in the air, and then you just see just one person just like
Fly off.
Oh.
Oh god.
That's gonna be a good way to go though.
I don't
mean, you'd be
know.
laughing.
What would you be
So,
thinking as you flew
you
through
would
the
be
air?
flying,
Oh,
going,
shoot.
oh
Oh,
no.
shoot.
like
Nothing I can do now.
well, that's what I always thought of, those 100 dumb ways to die, that literally you take that step or whatever it is that happened, you're like,
That's not a dumb way to die, though. That wasn't that person's fault.
Dang
I mean,
it.
it could have been. Their fault.
no,
It's probably not.
they could have unbuckled
think
themselves,
it's
but
kind of
most
a-
likely not.
Unfortunate way to die.
Yes, that would be awful. That would be terrible.
No choice
You'd
involved.
be
Well, like
having
there's
a great time, and then you just be launched into the space.
Into void.
Into the void.
Well, no, it's like that one where they shouldn't have let the young man. He was a bigger young man, and they put him on one of the rides that latch over, and he wasn't latched, and it was one of the ones that go way up, and he went way up, and when he dropped, he came out.
I really like
terrifying.
what you wrote about the line that you said, "Let your lungs turn blue to red."
Yeah.
I was thinking
that's such a cool idea. I think people would be able to stay more present if they were able to clearly identify what they have control over and what they don't have control over, and let go of everything they don't have control over.
it's very hard.
And I think in that sort of letting go of, there's an allowance of happening where I think where we hold things tight, we try to control, it actually dams things up. It doesn't allow things to be as they are.
Yeah, and you probably breathe less too.
Right. And so that idea of, I'm just going to let my lungs work. That's a beautiful idea.
And that's, I think, part of when you're a parent, you really have this idea when you have these babies, and you have this idealistic view of what you think you're going to create in this beautiful, amazing family, and you just think there just won't be anything wrong if we just do it this way. And then it doesn't, and you feel like you've lost control of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very... So if you can learn to just breathe, that's a better thing.
I really like the line about be the gods that reach down to hell.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to read that again?
Yeah,
Read it again.
Be the gods to reach into hell, extending to the lost and afraid.
Such a good line.
Well, I love that I was listening to Jelly Roll, and he said, if Jesus was here, he would not be going into the churches. He would be down on the street, hugging and talking and being a part of the people that are really struggling. On the back of a motorcycle, he said, I could just see him riding that motorcycle down to go. I just love that thought of that. I think we've lost sight of what Jesus would really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just remembering a podcast episode where we talked about peer pressure. This idea of what we were talking about, what peer pressure was, and the ability to hold your own weight, be a god of yourself, be fully in control, able to allow for everything. It doesn't matter in any situation that you're in, if there's peer pressure or not. You can allow yourself to be peer pressured and stay that in control of yourself. And I like that idea of going into hell. Like, you can go anywhere. You can go into the depths of the darkest pits of hell, and you can still stand up straight.
Extending a hand.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are. You're that hand no matter what.
I think those are choices you make before, don't you think? Before you get into certain situations, you make a choice of what.
Making a choice before is living in the future.
Well, I mean, depending on what the situation is. No matter what it is, some things maybe you won't choose to do, and some things you will choose to do, but I guess you stand.
Yeah, you don't know what you'll do in the moment. You can make as many choices in the past as you want.
Right. But I think
it doesn't matter.
I think it's important to have some sort of moral compass, whatever that is, because we all have our own moral compass, right? And you can choose to let it guide you, or you can choose to do something and then kind of bring it back, or whatever. We have those rights to choose what that will be.
What I heard in that writing for me was your declaration to the unknown that you and correct me if this is not where the basis of your writing, that you were going to try to be present in every moment of this unknown existence.
Yeah.
That
Which is
we're
extremely hard.
yeah. Yeah.
It's literally a moment-to-moment practice.
Right.
It takes a constant state of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awareness, presence, focus. Yeah.
And the way that you wrote that, Peyton, you have some beautiful ways of expressing those thoughts of being present, of being aware of being present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point of mine too. I was trying to say that it's important that we live here while we're here.
Yeah, I think you got that. I think you're right. I definitely got that across.
I don't know. That's exactly what I got out of yours.
Can they not both get across the same point?
They can.
In different ways.
Yeah, they can.
In beautiful,
No, that's the
beautiful different ways.
You would have thought we all picked things about moments.
Yeah.
I wonder who's gonna be.
I don't know.
Emily!
Who is it?
Have you thought of your 5-star review, Abby?
Yes. But I forgot it.
We'll re-remember it.
Okay. This is a silly little story. Okay. It's called A Love for Cupid. Cupid sat on his fluffy cloud, grasping a golden bow with arrows he was endowed. He could see so many people worthy of help. Sometimes his arrow would cause a yoke. But day in and day out, he would bring two closer. His arrow might even lead to a proposer. So much hope and excitement to be found all the way down there, down on the ground. Until one day Cupid noticed something missing. He wanted to be the one hugging and kissing, a special someone to share special moments, someone to love with all their components. But who would stay on his cloud by his side? Would anyone want to be his bride? Or so he thought, until one day, around noon, she caught his eye, dark hair and dressed in maroon. Mia was lonely on this day of love sharing. Being alone, being alone the only one can be despairing. Cupid knew his arrows wouldn't work for this, for if they did, he knew he wouldn't miss. What could he give her to help her see his desire and what they could be? Thoughts of gifts of roses or chocolates raced through his mind as Mia sat on a bench in a park beautifully designed. She started crying tears into her cup-shaped hands. Cupid watched and then knew his plans. He flew down to the bench and sat near, placed a hand on her shoulder, and said, "I am here." Their eyes met, capturing the moment and pausing time. This moment they would remember as wondrous and sublime. He told her she had captured his heart. She said him being there was a good start. Together they grew and flew in the clouds. It was nice to get away from the crowds. They had found someone to love and to be loved by. If you look closely, you might be able to find them in the sky.
The very beginning of your story, you depicted Cupid's arrow causing a yelp, and I imagine Cupid like lining up his bow, going to shoot somebody in like the butt and missing, and then hitting somebody in like the foot.
Oh, that's a funny thought. That, of course, will make a darling book. A little Valentine book.
I love the idea of the arrow deliverer of love wanting that love for himself. Or, having that desire after he's, given this love to so many people that he goes, I want to have that for me too.
I wonder if he had to stop being Cupid. Or if he got to keep being Cupid.
That's book number 2.
Well, he had to find somebody that would be with him by his side.
I know. I picture them now flying in the sky, and we're
Just-
going to find little hearts.
2 matchmaking angels.
She was only a helper. She can now help him see doubly.
Oh, that's so cute.
We never get to hear Cupid's story. It's always a story involving Cupid, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a cute.
How did Cupid obtain his bow and arrow? Did he shoot his love in the heart
And kill her?
and kill her
What?
Wow.
on accident? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of origin stories of Cupid.
I don't know.
His arrow and bow.
Yeah,
They're
he
just
vowed
like
from that
shooting
day on.
people that are in love.
Yeah.
It's just-
No, but that's a torture. Then he would
He
have
never
to
has good
torture
intentions.
himself because he would cry every time he had to shoot an arrow of the love he didn't have.
I like the idea of the giver of love trying to decide how to bring love into his own life. Going through, I could use my arrow, I could do gifts, and then landing on the idea of sitting with someone in their pain was what allowed love to grow.
Oh, and all he did was touch her. Just put his hand
I
on
think
her
that's a
shoulder.
cool idea. Showing up and being present for someone in their pain.
Yeah. Well, and how cool is it that somebody would allow you to sit with, somebody would allow somebody else to see their pain. I was at a bar with a friend, and they were talking about how they would never act this way in front of their fathers. And it made me so sad because I was like, well, you wouldn't express what you're expressing to me to your own fathers.
Because they don't feel like they could be seen in their true.
Their
in
true,
what
like
they
in
thought
what
their
in what
true
their
thought
pain
was.
is,
Yeah.
and what they're going through. They couldn't let somebody see that, and I think we take for granted sometimes that pain that other people experience, and how a lot of people don't show their pain to everybody.
I think most people don't show it.
Most
Only
people
to
hide.
certain people.
Yeah.
That create the space for them to.
I think that's why this has been so interesting, because we've seen some sides that I don't think would have come out in expressing some things.
Yeah, and like you were saying, sitting in that pain with somebody allows love to grow. At least like real, substantial love. And it's a good story.
Very good.
Yes, it was very sweet.
Harry, take us home.
Take us home.
You can think up there.
Freaking out.
She was doing all
realize
kinds of
that.
Sounds like
signs.
Cupid. Shoot someone quick.
Distract them.
An arrow comes to the window. It's definitely hard.
Okay, well, thank you for listening and being
I'll
a part.
apologize right now
Oh, for
Headphone
ending.
warning.
for
There are coughs.
there are
Oh,
coughs
we'll try to
and,
drop them
and there is the P
at the
word
end.
said a couple of
What?
times.
That's
the
Look at
P
these
word?
talking about here. That's crazy.
There's so many P words that would be in mind.
And Smeagol made an appearance.
Yeah.
I don't know if a warning at the end of the
Oh.
podcast.
Well, we got to think of a title.
You don't even need a soundboard.
I really like Dad's title.
What's that?
Cupid's faux pas.
Cupid's faux pas.
Ooh.
I also like saliva dessert or something like that. Would make it good.
Saliva for dessert.
Cupid's
Yeah,
dessert.
Saliva. Cupid's dessert. Cupid's saliva.
Cupid's.
Adult
Cupid's
Cupid's Cupid saliva, and then in parentheses, adult version. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, adult warning on this one because the crazy mother says too much.
Never.
Okay, well, thanks again for listening and joining us on Inside the Broken Family. Please like and share and leave a 5-star review. If you leave a 5-star review, you just might find your saliva soulmate.
That was unexpected.
That was good.
I was waiting for Cupid, but
That was
no,
good.
it was saliva soulmate.